On Wednesday, after nearly 8 years of service with the Houston Rockets, James Harden was traded to the Brooklyn Nets in a massive, essentially 4-team deal. And after that, this gives the Nets a big three of James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving. And that sounds great, doesn't it? Well, yeah, it does sound great. However, in this video, as you guys can tell from the title, I wanted to explain why this trade could be a disaster for the Brooklyn Nets. So obviously that is what I'm going to be going over in today's video. But before we do get started, if you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure you guys hit that like button as it really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you guys are new and enjoyed the content on this channel and haven't subbed already. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers and it would mean a lot to me if we could reach that goal. As a special, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will react to my first 2 videos I ever made on when I started doing YouTube. So if you guys want to see that and enjoy the content on here, but you guys haven't subscribed yet, make sure you guys subscribe. Also, follow me on Twitter, the link will be in the description below. And if you guys have any video ideas, comment them down below. But with all of that being said, let's just hop straight into today's video. And we should start out by analyzing what the Nets had to give up in this massive trade, and they sure had to give up a lot. The Nets had to give up Jarrett Allen, Taurean Prince, Karis LeVert, Rodonius Kurucs, hopefully I said that right, 3 first-round picks in 2022, 2024, and 2026, along with 4 pick swaps in 2021, this upcoming draft, 2023, 2025, and 2027. And obviously, that is a lot, but hey, you had to give up a lot if you wanted James Harden. And they should definitely be contenders for the next few years if things do pan out. But after the 2023 NBA season, they will be free agents. And that brings me to my first problem. If things don't pan out, then and they don't win a title, then there's a chance that all 3 of them do leave. And that is going to be a massive disaster for the Nets. If you're a longtime Brooklyn Nets fan, I mean, I'm sure you've lived through this, but it's going to be extremely difficult to rebuild with hardly any picks and hardly any young talent, as Brooklyn gave up basically all of their remaining young talent in that trade, and basically all of their future picks in that trade. And obviously, I mean, it was kind of needed if they wanted James Harden, but that is a negative when it came to trading for James Harden. They had to give up so much, and if things don't pan out in the next few years, and if all 3 of them leave, then they will be in an extremely bad situation. And while the Nets did prove this, that you can rebuild under those circumstances as they did this past decade, it's safe to say it wasn't exactly easy, and it's safe to say it wasn't exactly easy for the fans either, especially if you're a Brooklyn Nets fan for a long time. Since, I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys know about that Billy King trade that he did in the early 2010s. But if they can keep at least one of them, one way to really just counter this solution is by, well, this problem, I guess I should say, is, well, you gotta try and extend at least one of them. Since if you can at least extend one of them, and let's say things don't exactly turn out the way you'd like them to, let's say they were to extend Kyrie Irving, at least they could get some tickets so they wouldn't be an absolute poverty franchise that nobody cares about, and they would still be, you know, somewhat good, so maybe that could attract a star. But I think you guys can probably see what I'm getting at here. If things don't pan out, which I will get into the reasons why it could not pan out later, then it will be an absolute disaster for the Nets, since they are going to hardly have any picks and hardly have any young talent, which will make it extremely difficult to rebuild. So obviously, things could go pretty disastrous in, you know, that way. Now, one reason why this trio could not work is, first off, all 3 are kind of ball dominant in some way. Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden are all pretty ball dominant in some way. James Harden, as we all know, is not known to be much of an off-ball player, and it has been a massive criticism of him in the past few years. And while I don't think it's completely his fault, he does deserve some blame. Let's just be real here. And Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they can play off-ball if you really do need them to, but they are a little bit, you know, they are just better on ball. and at least one of them is going to have to become a really good off-ball player. Now, one thing I could see them doing maybe is all three of them kind of rotate and take turns having the ball in their hands and going on ball, and then the others go off ball, and vice versa. James Harden goes on ball, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving go off ball. Kevin Durant goes on ball, Kyrie Irving and James Harden go off ball. Kyrie Irving goes on ball, Kevin Durant goes off ball, and so does James Harden. I think you guys can see the point. Either way though, all three of them they're gonna have to figure something out. Either one guy goes off ball a lot, or all three of them rotate, as I said before. And this also kind of brings me to a point that I will touch on a little bit here, and that is James Harden really the perfect third star? I mean, one reason why I was doubtful and why I thought the Nets shouldn't trade for a third star is, first off, the third star was just going to provide scoring, and I mean, they already had pretty good role players, and they already had two amazing scorers, so what was the point in getting a third star? And to me, an ideal third star is a guy who can play off ball pretty well, is a good defensive player. Well, they don't have to be a good defensive player, but it is always nice to have like a good defensive player, and they're okay with averaging just 20 to 21 points per game, and they don't need any isolation plays or anything like that. They're okay by getting their points through the flow of the offense. And third stars can always be useful, because when you need them to, a lot of times they can create offense when the other two stars aren't having a good day. And I don't know if Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, or James Harden is really like that perfect third star. And as I said before, they are going to need to adjust and find something to work out, because there are not 30 basketballs on the court. There's only going to be one ball, and they're going to have to find something out. And another problem I could see that's screwing up this team is their egos. And this obviously will connect a little bit to ball dominance and stuff like that. But as we all know, Kyrie Irving has had ego issues, and so have all the other stars. But going on to Kyrie Irving, I mean, I think in the past few years, we've all heard of, Kyrie Irving is a bad leader, and all of that stuff. And I do not think he is that good of a leader. And the guy is going to have to quit doing stupid stuff, like going to his sister's party, I believe, without a mask, because, I mean, the guy's, he's putting the season in jeopardy, and he's acting like an absolute idiot. So Kyrie Irving, if you're watching this video, please stop going to parties and be smart if you want to have an NBA season. And obviously, stars are going to have egos, but when you combine 3 stars as big as these guys, you're going to have a lot of egos to deal with, and Steve Nash is going to have to find some good way to manage them. James Harden has also had ego issues too. As in Houston, he had issues getting along with other stars. It happened with Dwight Howard. It happened with Chris Paul. It happened with Russell Westbrook a little bit, because even though they are good friends off the court, on the court, I mean, didn't exactly work out. And his ego definitely influenced a lot of the front office decisions that the Houston Rockets made. And I mean, while it sometimes just wasn't for the best, I mean, yeah, James Harden has had ego issues, and obviously all 3 of them do need to figure something out. Kevin Durant has also had like a little bit of ego issues. Now they sure aren't as bad as Kyrie or Harden, I would say, but all 3 of them cannot be crazy egotistical, and all 3 of them have to be good locker room presences, because even they just need some guy to be vocal there. And obviously I have also seen the memes too of, who's going to be taking the final shot? And if you ask me, that should be Kevin Durant. And the final problem I will talk about is their defense. Now, I do feel like some people are overblowing this defensive issue, acting like no one can play defense, and that is not true. Their defense is not terrible, but it's not amazing either. To me, this is what I think their starting lineup is going to be. Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan for the starting lineup. The bench, I think, will be something like Tyler Johnson, Landry Shamet, Bruce Brown, Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot, hopefully I said that right and didn't butcher it too bad, and Jeff Green. Now, that starting 5 is very good. And defensively, though, they took a big hit in that trade. Jarrett Allen is a pretty decent defensive player. Taurean Prince is also a pretty good defensive player too. And to me, really, the only, grading everyone defensively, Kyrie Irving, he's not positive or negative. James Harden isn't positive or negative. Joe Harris, he's an okay defender. Kevin Durant, he's a pretty good defender. DeAndre Jordan's an okay defender. Tyler Johnson, Landry Shamet isn't that good of a defender. Bruce Brown is a pretty good defender. TLC, I'll just say that just so I don't butcher it. Jeff Green, he's a pretty solid defender. But Kevin Durant and Bruce Brown are really the only two players on this team that are actually good defenders and actual positives. So defensively, they're going to have to figure something out. Maybe they sign Andre Roberson. Now, hopefully they don't do that since I need my Nuggets too. But okay, that was a joke and all. But they need to find defense. They just need to get a source of defense somehow. Not only that, but their center position is pretty lacking, guys. When Nicholas Claxton is healthy, I do think the rotation should change a little bit to the point where Jeff Green is the backup power forward and Nick Claxton is the backup center. But yeah, the front court just got pretty thin. But on the flip side, before this video does end, I will put out a brief case for how this thing could work. They can definitely make this thing work. Let's say that they were to go through the solution of, they take turns going on and off ball. And that sounds it sounds kind of realistic. If they can do that, then they can definitely form the next dynasty through the next few years. And maybe, who knows, maybe in the 2023 free agency, or if they get extended somehow, they decide to stay with the team for 5 years. Then the Nets can definitely form a dynasty and grab at least 2 championships. This trio has a potential to be an all-time great one. But aside from that, that's all I'm gonna say for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys hit that like button. It really helps out the channel. Subscribe if you guys are new, as I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and it would mean a lot to me if we could reach that goal. As a special, once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I will react to my first 2 videos. So if you guys want to see that, make sure you guys subscribe. But with all of that being said, I'm out, you guys.